Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I'm going to be talking about William H. Kilpatrick tonight and how he was a great influence during the progressive education movement. I'm going to start off by talking a little about himself. William H. Kilpatrick was born on November 20th, 1871 in White Plains, Georgia. His father was a Baptist pastor. His father's religious convictions, as well as his personal and temperamental attributes, influenced his son greatly, and in certain ways it permanently shaped his character. His father was also a very stern and humorless man. William was probably brought up in a strict upbringing. His mother, on the other hand, she counterbalanced his father's stern and humorless nature. She taught him the value of a sense of belonging, as well as becoming self-secure and self-confident. At the age of 17, he enrolled at Mercer University, where he graduated at the second of his class in 1891. He continued his education by completing a year of graduate study at Johns Hopkins University in mathematics and physics. He later returned to Mercer University to get his MA degree in 1892, and he got his first job in education when he was accepted at elementary and secondary school in Blakely, Georgia, as a mathematics teacher. And later, and after his first year working there as a teacher, he became the principal there. He furthered his education even more by taking some summer courses at Rock College while teaching in Blakely, Georgia. On December 27th, 1898, he married Marie Guyton. They had 3 children, but unfortunately 2 died in infancy. Kilpatrick, he resigned from his job in 1906 due to sorry, lost my place. Due to doctrinal differences with the authorities at Mercer. But then he later got accepted to a position at Columbia's Georgia High School as a teacher, and then later became principal. In 1707, he accepted a scholarship to study education at Teachers College at Columbia University, where he remained a student and faculty member until he retired in 1938. In May of 1907, his wife died of tuberculosis, and the following year he remarried a woman named Margaret Pinckney. In 1912, Kilpatrick took his doctorate and was appointed associate professor in 1915, and was then later promoted to full professor in 1918. In addition to his position at Columbia, Kilpatrick held appointments during his long career as a visiting lecturer, or professor at several universities. Sorry, I'm tired. Across the United States. He was also able to visit schools abroad around the world, including places like Austria, China, Egypt, Holland, and Turkey. He was the author of 14 books and hundreds of articles. In 1938, he retired, but continued to lecture at several universities. As well as stay active in civic affairs. Later that year, of 1938, his second wife died, and then he remarried again a former student of his in 1940. Maron Ostrander. And then on February 13th, 1965, he died. William Kilpatrick was known as one of the great teachers and a leading figure in the American progressive education movement. What he is best known for is for his project model. Kilpatrick supported student-initiated projects that utilize laws of learning to motivate the student to emerge with a high degree of skill and knowledge, view school activity with confidence, and appreciate school. He also believed that schools needed to be more child-centered, democratic, and socially oriented. One project method story that he shares is about this eighth grader, who shared a magazine article with his class about how the Boston massacre was false. The students in the class investigated this claim by reading 14 history books, but they discovered that only 10 of them gave the same account, which perplexed the students to wonder which stories were correct and how historians know of the events. They then decided to write a letter to all the authors of these books. However, on their first attempt, the students didn't get a reply from the authors. So sorry. But then they wrote again, saying how sincere they were about finding this answer. And then a few of the authors replied back, and one of the more guarded authors explained to them where they could find a small amount of primary source information that exists about this claim. And the students were able to find the source, and they concluded that while most of the books embellished the story, the facts supported more than the magazine article claimed. And this project method example illustrated progressive education in practice by involving students in meaningful learning opportunities connected to the world in which they lived. Students, as well as teachers, should seek learning wherever they go. There are those who don't pay attention to what's happening in the world around them, and so they basically take in what they learn, which they shouldn't do. They should use the given resources given to them and seek out what's right, the truth, like those boys did. Well, those students. I say boys. Through these given sources and through a passion of truth and knowledge, individuals can learn of the world as well as seek the answers to the mysteries of the world. It also gives them a joy and interest in learning, which Kilpatrick emphasizes. His project model influences today's education by a revival of his model in the form of project-based learning. The proponents of project-based learning, or PBL for short, emphasize student gains such as improved thinking skills, enhanced cognitive abilities, increased interest and enjoyment in the content. Students have also become independent learners, as they use libraries and other information resources at their disposal more often. This helps students recall and understand information better. Like the Boston Massacre example, the students use their resources to seek the truth for themselves, which people should be doing more, and I've seen that happen today. We see Kilpatrick's ideas for a democratic education. Students are encouraged to think for themselves, to seek the information. Teachers are even put students in groups so they can see what each other's views are and think for themselves. on the assignments given. And sorry. Teachers, they also consider the students' needs, which is important because nowadays some teachers are just in for the money, or they don't really care about the students. They just give them content, and but they don't really care about their students. I was lucky enough to have teachers who cared about us, who put their students first, and Kilpatrick emphasizes that, as well as seeking information and becoming independent learners. Yeah, through teachers, yeah, sorry, just going through the motions. But yeah, that's all I have, and I hope you enjoy this presentation.